Radio. Please hold and you will be able to listen to the show.
And it's time for another installment of It's My House. We had some requests from you guys after we had a guest on, what's the Saturday, 2 days ago, or 3 days ago. He did 2 days in a row. On mobile homes, he bought a, Sherrick, that's his name, bought a house for, he wasn't speaking on mobile homes specifically, but I think he bought something for $1,500, sold it for $17,000. So I got a bunch of calls and texts. You want to learn more about mobile homes? So today, that's what we're doing. We went to somebody I met a few years ago. Hills, that's spelled Heels. Hills Deals. Today's podcast is titled, matter of fact, Hills Deals and Wills with Kellie Harden. 619-768-2945
Unmuted
is the live stream number. Good. I guess it's good morning where you are, Kellie.
Hi, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm better than terrific. Well, I took the title from your that's your brand, Hills, Deals, and Wheels. So before you get into how you came up with that brand name, tell us something about yourself.
Well, I am retired military. I was in the Army for about 20 years. And when I got out of the military, I did something real crazy and I bought my dream home. And so I had to pay for my dream home, so I had to go back to work. And so I fly back and forth between Texas and California for work. I live in Texas, but I work in California. And we actually met a couple of years ago at a tiny home convention. And I'm sorry.
About 5, 6 years?
Yeah.
About 5 years ago?
About 5 years ago, yeah. We met at a tiny home convention because I was really interested in the tiny homes. And you were real savvy at it. I didn't know too much about it, but we had fun there. We met and we just stayed connected ever since. And then from that point on, I really started looking into mobile homes. And I took a little course and I just ran with it. And I've been business.
Looks like you have.
I've been business partners with my little brother. Oh yeah, and I'm following you too.
Now let me ask you this: why mobile homes?
Because it's so inexpensive, and people don't believe me when I tell them you can even get them for free. You could get them for free. A lot of people, they would like to upgrade, like you like to upgrade your car. And sometimes the car might be so raggedy, you don't care who takes the car. You just want somebody to take the car off your hands so you could get you a new one. And it's the same thing with a mobile home. I have gotten so many free mobile homes, so many inexpensive mobile homes, it's ridiculous. And people don't believe me. But the drawback is sometimes when you get a free one, you have to move it. That's the only catch.
Well, I never heard that philosophy on it. Because I guess we all know somebody that they might upgrade a car every 2 years.
Right.
Simply to, when the warranty runs out, you don't have to worry about heavy maintenance bills.
Right.
All right. Yeah, I've been aware of mobile homes since the early 80s, but I just never even considered it. And then I started to notice in my YouTube news feeds people getting into it, and then I saw you get into it, and I just said, wait a minute. And then my audience, there's a lot of feedback this past week on it. So I said, well, let me take a closer look at this. Let me ask you this. Now, a lot of people, now you were a landlord with regular brick and mortar real estate prior to getting into mobile homes. Am I correct?
Right. I still am a landlord. However, I have my tenants that are actually in my homes. I have them on month to month. I'm praying that they leave because the second they leave, I'm taking that money and buying mobile homes.
Okay. Well, You don't really take. Well, you've been doing it what, about a year now?
A year and a half.
Oh, year and a half, 18 months.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now there's a distinction between real estate and mobile homes. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Because I've got some real estate, but I'm not like really big on real estate now. When people ask me what I do, I say housing,
Mm-hmm.
and I break it down because there's a distinction between housing and real estate. Real estate has a housing component to it, but anything any brick and mortar that's permanently attached to the ground is considered real estate, and then your de facto partner is the local taxing authority, which they come out every year, they tax it, the tax assess it. You got to pay a tax bill. You don't pay the tax bill, the property's up for auction. Now, are mobile homes considered private property or real estate?
Mobile homes are considered personal property. They can be considered,
personal property.
they can be considered real estate, like you said, if you fixate them to the ground. The second you cement them to the ground, they turn into real estate. So why would you do that, especially if you own that mobile home? Because you're going to be taxed the same as somebody who has a single family home that might live down the street. So
right. And I think that's a very important distinction that a lot of they just don't know.
Right. And so I have tenants that pay $40 to $800 worth of taxes per year in the mobile homes. Now, single family homes that can go into thousands and thousands of dollars. So
school of thought I am nothing. I don't need it to be permanently attached. Well, how did you get started specifically?
Well, I actually, I was like you said, I do own a couple of single family homes, and I'm like, you know what? Who can afford to pay a single family home off quickly? I know I can't, and I make very good money. And so I said, there has to be a different way. And I just started looking on YouTube, and I found a course on YouTube, and I was just trying to learn just by looking at the YouTube videos. They're only going to tell you but so much. And finally, I just paid for a course, and I took off from there. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to be all the way in. So I went and immediately got my license, which you don't need a license to be in this business. I immediately went and got my license. So I am licensed in the state of Texas to sell and buy mobile homes. And it just took off from there. And from the first day I took the test to get my license, which the test is open book in most states, except for, I believe, in California, it's not open book. I think within 4 to 7 days, I bought my first mobile home. And it sold in a matter of 2 weeks. The second home after that sold in a matter of 15 minutes.
Good Lord, hold it, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Let's break down some of what. Let me process some of what you said already. All right. You said now you don't need a license to get into the business.
You don't.
As far as buying, okay. So you can buy as much as you want without a license.
Okay. Now, different states have different rules. Some states say you need a license. Some states say you don't need a license. Some states say you can only buy 2 or 3. But if you're wholesaling, your name is not going on anything official. So in all actuality, if you're wholesaling a mobile home, you don't have to say, oh, I can only buy 3 this year, or I can only buy 4 this year. And if you really think about it, if your state is telling you can only buy 3 or 4, what would you do? The solution would be to, like, I have a brother that's in business with me. If I didn't have a license and Texas told me I can only buy 3 mobile homes, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to have I'm going to put 3 mobile homes in my brother's name. I'm going to put 3 mobile homes in my mother's name. There's ways to get around that.
Okay. Let's see. Now, for the people that don't know what the term wholesaling means, what does that, could you paint us a visual for that when it comes to mobile homes?
Okay. So wholesaling basically means you're connecting a buyer with a seller. That's all. And people wholesale all day long. So when you're wholesaling a mobile home, you're going to find a buyer. Let's say the buyer wants $10,000 for their mobile home. and then you find the seller wants $10,000 for their mobile home. And so you go and find a buyer, and the buyer is looking for a mobile home, and you say, hey, I have a mobile home, but the seller is wanting $15,000 for that mobile home. So you collect the difference between what the seller is wanting for the mobile home, the $10,000, and what the buyer is willing to pay, the $15,000. So you would collect $5,000 just from knowing the seller and the buyer, because without you, they would have never known each other.
Mobile homes, how is that? How do you close those transactions?
Well,
do you use a title company or what?
Well, it depends from state to state, whatever state you're in. Sometimes you do need a title company. A lot of times you just do it through the DMV. In the state of Texas, we actually do it, all of our transactions on the computer. And so we're just, we're able to find out if there's any liens or any taxes due on the property. And we're actually able to transfer the title and everything on the computer. And then we fax the information in, and then we're able to transfer the title that way. But it depends on which state you're in. And my course goes over all that. It'll tell you what you need to do, whatever state you're in. It won't be any guesswork of what you need to do.
All right. Now you said you closed your first deal. You closed on it in about 2 weeks, something like that.
Right, and the only reason why that took longer is because I actually did some rehab on that particular home.
Okay. And the second one, you sold it within 15 minutes. Now, how are you doing your selling platforms? Are you doing open houses or online, like Facebook Marketplace, something like that?
Yeah, I do Facebook Marketplace, and my little brother Joel Harden, he does a lot of the open houses for me. And but with my second deal, how I closed that in 15 minutes, I actually didn't even own that home. I actually was coming out of the driveway of the first home that I sold, and I was blocked in by a family of 3. They jumped out of the car. I was kind of scared. I'm like, what do they want? And they said, Kellie, there's a house down the street. We want you to buy this house for us. We don't have $9,000 cash. If you buy the house for us, we'll be willing to pay you $35,000. And my mouth was wide open. The only thing they wanted me to do is to build a wheelchair ramp onto their home, and that cost me about $3,200 for their son who was handicapped. I charged them $35,000. They gave me a deposit of $7,000, so I pretty much got my $9,000 back. And now they've been making payments. And then when you tack on the principal and interest, they're going to be owing me close to like $53,000 over 8 years.
You must be living real good. Right in your lap.
Yeah, that one fell right in my lap.
Well, and it originally was $9,000.
It was $9,000.
They were willing to pay $35,000.
Right, because they were really in dire straits. They lived in one of these apartment complexes that, cater to the handicapped. And they were paying $2,200 in rent at that apartment complex. And they told me by purchasing my mobile home, that would cut their expenses right in half between the lot rent and what I was going to charge them for the mobile home mortgage. And they did their own rehab on the inside of the house. The only thing me and my brother had to do was find somebody. We found a contractor to construct the wheelchair ramp for them.
Okay. Now, all right, so you got a business model that you wholesale as well as you buy, fix up, and turn, or as most people say today, flip. Now, do you keep any just strictly for cash flow, rental income, passive income?
Oh yes, we have currently 6 mobile homes right now that we actually keep, and so we keep them for monthly cash flow. And we're working on the 7th deal right now. We've only been in business for a month and a half, and we're cash flowing right now $7,900 a month.
Impressive. Impressive. Now you're a registered nurse.
Right.
I guess that's your so-called if they call it a day job.
Well, you could call mine you could call mine a night job because I work night shift.
Okay. So now it for within your, because that's how we met you and another lady, young lady, when we met in Vermont.
Mm-hmm.
Two traveling nurses at that tiny house summer camp.
Right.
Do you recommend that also for other people in the nursing profession or any whatever they're doing, to get into mobile homes?
Any profession. Any profession, because especially with this pandemic, nobody who can really afford a single family home these days. Who could say I got a free mobile home, or who could say I paid $3,000 for my house? Nobody can afford a single family home these days. So things are getting tight for people, and I believe the mobile home business that's where it's at, and that's why I jumped into it, because people are going to need somewhere to stay. People are going to need a roof over their head, and what better place than a mobile home?
I agree with you with that, because to live particularly in the largest cities, there are over 19,000 cities in the United States, and about the 10 or 11 that have a million people or more living in them. But I think 6,000 towns in the United States, that's like 80%. 75% have 5,000 or less people. So places like Chicago, Dallas, the Bay Area, where I think you're at,
right.
You got to sort of be wealthy to live in those cities now.
Exactly.
In a single family home.
Right. Exactly. I mean, here in California,
I like to say 35,000. That's reasonable.
Yeah. Well, here in California, I mean, you still be living in the hood if you have a home that's $500,000. You still have bars on your windows. That's ridiculous. You don't have any grass. You don't have anywhere to park your car. And for $500,000, it seemed like you would be living better than that.
That's true. You're right about that. Mm-hmm. And the property taxes, I'm sure, are outrageous, because I got a house in D.C. The property taxes on that is like $5,000 a year.
Right. Right. And when you and I went to the tiny home convention, the thing that kind of turned me off about the tiny home, they're talking about, well, if you want to move it, you have to have one of those F-150 trucks. Well, that thing costs about $70,000 by itself. So now you got to pay for the...
That was... what's that lady's name? Vera Stuck, yes. Because she had her tiny house up there, and I think she moved it on a truck or something like that.
Yeah, so who can afford that? Now you need a tiny home, and then you need an F-150 truck that costs $70,000. No, that's just too much, in my opinion. I know I wouldn't want to pay all that kind of money.
No, I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you. Matter of fact, some people, in my opinion, anything over $25,000 in the tiny house world, or this is just LA's opinion, is not a tiny house.
Mm-hmm.
Because you like the Georgetown section of Washington D.C. I don't know if you've been there before.
Yes.
They've got they got tiny houses in some areas of that city, but you're going to pay $300, $400, maybe up to almost $1 million to live in some of those. But I don't consider those tiny houses.
Right.
So for me, the cap on a tiny house is $25,000 in price, and no more than 300 and. Now I'll cap it at 400 square feet. That's anything above that is a small house, not a tiny house.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But getting back to mobile homes. All right, so there are people that are giving them away for free. So if a person now that sounds good, but what are some of the caveats that people need to be aware of? If somebody goes on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace and they see mobile home free, and they need a place to stay, but they need to be prepared for what?
They need to be prepared 9 times out of 10. The person who's giving this home away for free is going to want that home moved off of their lot. And depending on which state you are in, it's going to cost you about $2,500 to move that home off of the lot. Of course, when you move it off of the lot, or before you move it off of the lot, you have to make sure it's worth moving off the lot. It might not even make it down the street. So I always, make sure I have a contractor with me, because I don't want any surprises when we get to moving at home. Now, I personally, when I find these free homes, I wholesale them, because I don't want to be dealing with no headache. You get it down the street and it doesn't even make it. So I normally wholesale those type of homes. That's what I do. I find.
So in other words, you don't even move it.
No.
You just wholesale it from the location that it's currently at.
Exactly.
Boy, that's a pure profit. Now, I like that business model.
Yeah. I'm not gonna take any chances. And thank goodness, one situation I didn't take a chance, and I told the guy I'm wholesaling this home. I was very transparent with him, and by the time he got it to his destination, he took it down the street without having a contractor. And sure enough, when he got it down the street, the roof was a mess. What I could see, it wasn't a mess, but I'm not a contractor. And he wind up having to pay like $8,000 for a roof, but he got a home for free. So is $8,000? I don't think that's a lot of money when you got a mobile home for free.
That's true. Now, what about the contracts? Now, to tie that up, because let's say you're wholesaling, so you found this house for free. You're not going to move it. You probably might not even visit the house. I don't know.
I haven't visited the houses several times. Yes.
Okay. So how do you protect yourself? You do a contract with the what do you call it? The seller.
Well, I do a contract with the seller, and you know what? People call me all the time. Hey, Kelly, can you send me your contract? The contract is just a little cheesy piece of paper, something that's typed up. You agree to sell your house for X amount of dollars, and that's it. And then I have a contract with the buyer. You agree to buy this home for X amount of dollars, and that's it. It's nothing spectacular.
You can do that all remotely.
Exactly, and that's what I do. A lot of times I use a remote notary. Half of the times, these people, when I'm connecting them, a lot of times I don't even ever meet them.
Okay. Well, I like that business model all the way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, matter of fact, before we go any further, now you offer a course, so tell us about the course and how can people get a hold of it.
Okay, so my course is hosted on Vimeo. It's called Heels, Deals, and Wheels Mobile Home Investing Course. And it's all videos. There will be absolutely no reading whatsoever. It's all videos. I walk through what you look for when you're looking at a mobile home. We talk about the year of the mobile home. We talk about the roof of the mobile home. We talk about how to talk to if the mobile home is in a park. Really, the park manager is running the whole show. So you have to build a rapport with that park manager. If you can't get past that park manager, there will be no buying of mobile homes in that particular park. So I go over every scenario, and my course is actually building and building. I'm not charging anybody any extra. It's over 20 hours worth of video footage. I also have the contracts there. I show you where to find the mobile homes. I show you how to post the ad. One thing I will say, if you don't know anything about using a computer, this is going to be a hard business for you to be in, because you have to have some kind of computer skills to post ads on Facebooks and this, that, and the other. But my course goes over everything, and I have learned from some of the best. And also with my course, you will also receive a 7-series mobile home park audio course. Because after you get in this business, your next step is that you want to buy a mobile home park. That's the whole thing. Everybody wants to buy a park after they've been in this business a while. And that's something that I aspire to do as well. But my course has everything. Currently, it's only $199. And that price will be going up very soon, because I have partnered with a guy out in Houston. His name is CJ from CJ University, and he tells you how to use your credit cards instead of using your own cash in order to invest in real estate and mobile homes. So my
Okay.
my course covers it all.
Now, what about, are you doing any, or plan on doing any live events? Like we met at a live event, and or Zoom or both of them.
Uh, if you want to Zoom, we could Zoom. On occasion, I do go live on Facebook. I just recently went live like 3 or 4 days ago. You have my personal phone number. You got any questions, you can contact me personally. I know you and I had talked about some live stuff, and I probably need to venture out and do some things like that in the future. But I'm not going to lie. Right now, I don't have anything live planned. You will notice in other courses, a course I actually paid for, I'm not going to mention any names. I actually paid $6,000 for that course. And from what I understand, it's up to $8,000 and they're taking payment plans. But my whole mindset is when you pay that kind of money, how are you going to have money to buy a mobile home if you're giving them $6,000 to $8,000?
Now, you know, we're on the exact same page with that because people have been offering these real estate boot camps for years, and those prices that you just quoted and higher. And I've never taken one of those. I mean, I've taken courses like years ago, but those prices I'm looking at for that kind of money, I may as well just buy something, and that's what I started to do.
Right.
Now, with let's say the aspect of you're virtually wholesaling, that means you can basically look for transactions or do transactions rather anywhere in the continental United States, I imagine.
Anywhere. But what I like to do with my virtual wholesaling, I like to have somebody that has some boots on the ground. I don't like to do this blindly, you know. So I do have a couple of students that they do this blindly, but I don't like doing that. I like to at least have somebody there to say, hey, Kelly, we should ask for this dollar amount. The floor looks good. The electricity seems like it's working. I don't want to just go based off of pictures because I got a reputation and I don't want the seller to be upset with me later on or the buyer to be upset with me later on. And plus, you never want the buyer and the seller ever meet each other, because then they'll figure out this lady is going to make a big profit off of me. So you don't never want them to meet. So if I have boots on the grounds, that's going to keep them from ever meeting.